I know, right? Still not Rocket League. Huh. We, playing something else, you know, something new again. Playing Slime Rancher. Another game that I have played in the past, but it has been a very long time. Um, ooh. Rancher and Explore Wonders of the Far Far. Place. A relaxed take on adventure mode without any threat of car slime. Rush. Rush against the clock to earn as many new books as possible. Hmm. Huh. Fuck it. We'll just do adventure. Ooh, boy, oh boy, it's been too long. Here we go. 1,000 light years away from Earth, on a planet known as the Far Ring, Beatrix LeBeau begins her first day as a slime rancher. Let's do this. Okay. It's a pink plort with a pink slime. Ooh, carrots. Let me go ahead and sell that one random plort. Where are you guys in there? Yeah, and yeah, so with everyone food, they get to give us some plorts. They go sell that, and the transfer station. Yeah, just a matter of exploration. Hello, Beatrix. The name's Hobson Twiddlers, rancher explorer, and the former owner of this here ranch you now call your own. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I was a rancher for more years than I can remember, and felt there was one last adventure left in me, so I set off to find just that. But before I go, I'm taking one last tour around this here land I love, so keep your peepers peeled for notes like these. If you want to hear what an old coot has to say every now and again, be talking to ya, H. Old Man Hobson. I'm not too concerned about picking up slimes at the moment. They're quite frankly every fucking where. I'm more concerned with the food aspect, because until I get the money to grow, the money put together yeah, until I get the money together to make a plant bed that can grow fucking carrots and shit, I gotta collect. I was gonna say there should be some books. More exploration. From Casey. Oh, yep. No, I'm good, rock slime. Fuck. Ah! Leave those alone right now. Region unlocked. Dry reef. Save the chickies. Oh my god, no! Chickie! Get out of here. You're a terrible mother. Be eaten. No, you bastard. Don't eat my fucking plort. Just uno mas. And then the rest of these we're gonna pull off here. Yeah, pick up this last one. And then go back. That one will be good to get back into. Completely forgot about that fucking area. We got some chicky doos, got some carrots, some pogo fruit, plenty of plorts. Speed! Oh damn, that's fucking fast. Yeah, fuck it. $460. What do I need for a garden? 250. Perfect. Eat. Bro. Fuck you. Alright. I guess it's time to go grab a few more. Come here. Come here. Yes, come here. 4, 6. That's 10 total. The ones we have at the corral already. Fuck. Stay in there. Now, what does the pork collector cost? 500. That's a lot of money. You're a brave chicken. That's the end of you. I'm cruel like that. I'd say that motherfucker better have stayed in there. Fuck, I have enough for the coop for the chickens. Because I want to get those tabbies and okay. No problem. Grab you so we have a full, well, a full hen in there. Some kind of parent figure. I believe that's all the food. Yes. Yes. Give me all of your beautiful quartz. I need 20 quartz? Where the fuck? Where the fuck are you people coming from? No, you didn't come out of here. Throwing some variety for him. 15 more fjords. Look at, we put it all in there. Hopefully there'll be a decent bit when we come back. Oh yep, the phosphor slimes. Ooh! I'll more than gladly come over here. Out of here. Come here. Alright. Got some tabbies, got some rocks. Yeah, fuck it, we go into the cave. This entire cave system was sealed off from a cave-in when I first discovered it. Maybe that's why the fellas up ahead are so grumpy, haven't had a bite in a long time. In any case, don't let that long-awaited bite come from your own rump. Bring some food to calm them down. Yeah. Yeah, they fucking attack. Unless you got, you know, some kind of food to send their way. Ow. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to keep those in the hotbar for a while. Bum, 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 bum. 2 rock lords? Fuck. Alright. Wait, we should have some lords in here. Just make that fucking easy. There we go. Come over here. Wrong button. Bro, I remember at one point I had filled up like silos full of fucking fruits and shit. Like the largest fucking silos. I had unlocked all of that shit down there. The under like the water shit. Bro, that was crazy. That was a crazy game. Yeah, you guys need to have you. It's a chicken, it's a chickie, but it's all I got. Ah! I don't want to mix slimes. Okay, good. Someone else ate. I'm gonna just go feed to some of these guys out here since they don't have food. I get phosphorus plorts and pinks. Fuck. Fuck. Yeah, what I don't want happening is the fucking pinks and the phosphorus mixing. Because then you get fat bastards like that one. They ain't good for shit. Let's see if anything. Alright. We got a decent amount. Fuck you! I don't know if they actually die when the sun comes out either, because they're a mix. They're Largo. No! Why? There better be fucking yeah. Like I said, there better be some full-grown fucking chickens in here. Fuck. Heck yeah. Alrighty. Got enough for the next corral for these slimy rocky boys. But I have no idea what they eat. Veggies, so that's like carrots and shit. Yeah, these guys, the pink ones eat fucking everything. So I can just leave the pogo in there. But I will give you carrots. Take that. Ow! Fucking stay in there. Oh, alright. Not bad, not bad. Go ahead. Nope, nothing there. Girlies over there are fine. Pick you up. Grab you. There's gonna be one more. Oh! Fuck! Fuck me. Whoopsies. Accidentally put that bitch over. Help those two, sorry. Help those two bitches over. Let Twee run off. Fuck you! I wanted that! Piece of shit. I wish I could have you. You beautiful phosphorus quartz. But, gotta keep moving. Grooving. Shimmying and shamming. Oh yeah, that's the first quarter of Cordo slime. Yeah, fuck it. Oh fuck. Yeah. Where? Who produced what where? Damn it. Ow. Bastard. Oh. Yeah, this is the like main Tabby Cat land. Bitch. Damn. We get another note from Hobson. I had a great big tree like this here one along the edge of my property back on Earth. It had been there before anyone could remember, survived all kinds of change around it, and then one day I began to notice it was dying. Wasn't anything unnatural, was just its time, I suppose. And then I realized that if I didn't do something, I'd end up like that tree. I'd spend my whole life in the same place. I wasn't gonna let that happen. So I bought a ticket for the far range the very next day. Oh man. Learning about his life and his dreams. Tabby won! Oh. I was about to say, you guys can be useful. I was about to just discard those. Fuck, nah, yeah, no fruits. Take the chickie. Stony chickie. Another chickadoo. Treasure pod. Nice. Nope, fuck. Alright, fuck it, we can head back. Doink. Run. No, chickie. Little veggie monster right there. Damn it! Heck yeah. 3, 4, 5. Alright. Fort Peddler! Lord Peddler. Alright. What do we upgrade first? I'm thinking... 350? No. Oh, feeder's 500? Fuck. Damn it. Thought it was... Thought shit was cheaper than that. Fuck. Let's see. Oh, fuck, I forgot about this place down here. See, like I said. Then further. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember what this is. If I can, I'll take you with me. The thing with the Largos is that, well, they produce both florts from both sides that you get them from. So that one's a pink tabby largo. So it produces pink and tabby plorts. And it eats everything because it's mixed with pink. But they're fucking huge. Much, much bigger compared to other, fuck. Like I said, much more problems. They can jump higher and shit. You need to buy the fucking high walls. But yeah. Just to keep them in barely. I have to buy the fucking high walls. And we come over here. Fuck you! Stay in there. I'm considering giving this guy a fucking pink slime plort just to make him eat everything. I'm actually going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knock it down to 3 pink slimes total. Trick shot. But yeah, and then I can just throw those in there for the pink guys. Then get all these delicious little portsies from them. Got another one. Shit. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Bye-bye. Okay. Oh, you. Eat your fucking fruits. Huh? Hey, you. Eat your fucking fruits and... Fuck it. You eat that if you get hungry and you make me some nice plorts. Otherwise, don't cause me trouble. And we go this way. Fuck. Trying to see if I got any elderlies. That's fine, that works. Put all those in there. Collect all these plugs. Alrighty. Dump these. And then, we're gonna go collect a bunch of food. We're gonna feed it to those, Angry slime. Yeah, that's how we'll take. That's yeah. And then go around here. Bounce along this way. Ow. Bastard. Ow, bastard. Like, stay over, wait. Stay over there. You too. You, sir, I need you in a better mood. Better mood. There you go. See? This is what a happy mood feels like. I know you want the food, but fucking mine, I brought it. You can't have it. Thank you for the torch, though. Whew. Get going. Alright, what requires this? Fuck! I need to feed the fucking tabby. Not the tabby, the Largo. Not Largo, but the fucking that big pink motherfucker. Because I'm pretty sure that's where we get the slime keys. That guy right over there. I'll take any fucking piece of food I can. Bordeaux, pink Bordeaux. Yeah, you're supposed to like feed them so much that they pop or whatever the fuck. Gonna go pick up some more food. Rearranging. I don't want you. I don't want you. More after you. I don't actually know why I threw away that hen, considering it was food, but. Alright. Go feed it all this pogo. That probably won't be enough. But regardless, afterwards we go and... Oh shit, nailed it. Yep, there's that slime key. Elder ornament. Oh yeah, the fucking ornaments. Yeah, so fucking I have collectible decorations for your ranch, aka shit that you can put somewhere Uh, and it just hangs around, basically. I had so fucking many of these. Put one there. Yeah, just put those fucking there. Turn around this way. Oh, alrighty. Beautiful. Beautiful, darling. Beautiful. Magnifique. Oh, wait, no, you're good. I was like, what the fuck? How did a pink tabby get in there? But nope, that's how that was supposed to look. You guys are useless now. Ba-dum-bum-bum. How are we looking in here? Yep, those are all good. I'm gonna put it on this guy, because quite frankly, he needs it the most. Good shit. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Slime key, yes. That is what we are doing. Taking our slime key. Take those though. Oh, you're just a badass, aren't you? Damn. What's funny is you don't really need to feed those. You can just run past them because they take forever to fucking spawn. And so long as you have the key, you get in. Open sesame. The Indigo Quarry. Mine, all mine. I was always happiest when I was by my lonesome. Places like this old quarry really suited me. Nice and quiet, and mostly empty, so I figured that life on the far, far range would suit me just as well. And well, wouldn't you know it, I came all this way, and the first person I see, well, she changed how I saw things, I guess. Quiet wasn't good anymore. I liked her laugh. Aw, he found a wifey. Or a mistress. I have no recollection of how the fuck I'd get back up there. Oh yeah. Come here. Come here. Fuck off. Don't worry. You're all safe here. Well, except for you, man. Fuck you! God damn it. No. Except for you, boom slimes. Boom slimes are not safe. Is that a boom torch? treasure pod over there. Don't give a shit about those at the moment. Bum. Oh, it's the veggie Gordo. The Indigo Quarry. So yeah, that's the first of the Gordo slimes here. I have no memory of how to fucking open those. And that'll waste all my point. Oh, the radioactive slimes. Huh, odd onions. Oh fuck, they're not ready yet. Yeah, no, I don't want shit to do with you. Take him though. This is only minor kidnapping. And I say minor because I'm only taking a few. Haha. What the fuck do you even eat? Meat. Okay. So, what I'm hearing is, it just mix you with the water puddle slimes. Forgot all about you guys. You're a pain in the ass. What the fuck is out here? God. Still haven't even checked the fucking mail. Is that another fucking... I used to come here when I needed a good soak. A great way to clear your head. Sometimes I'd catch a puddle of slime blushing, and I could never tell if it was because I was in my bathing suit or not. Is that another one of those fucking Gordo slimes? Is that where the other one is? Fuck. I wouldn't be surprised if so. Aha! A party Gordo. Fuck! Why are there so many boxes? Fuck you, party slime. Fuck. Oh, they already lost the fucking... Oh. I only wanted those because they were kind of special looking. So we go this way. What's over here? Keeping those boom slimes. Is this way out? I don't think so. Oh shit, this is the crystalline slimes. Oh. Yeah, remember where this place is. 'Cause those are money. Fuck me, that takes forever to get to. Gotta go across the bridge. Fuck. Fuck, I want that. God damn it, I want that floor. Fuck. Regardless, we gotta get back to the house. Sure, I've got all kinds of floors to collect. Long fucking trip. Oofta. There we go. Off into the house we go. Off into the home. Yeah, and they still get angry at you every once in a while, so... after the first time feeding them, I don't give a shit. Jumping on off to the house. Let's go! Yep, that's all I got. Fucking, you can go there. You guys can go there. There. I was like, wait, why does that one have floors but that other one doesn't? Then I remembered, oh yeah. I'm actually gonna pick up most of you for the minute, so I can feed you. I got 6. There we go. And then just give him you. Pick up you guys. Little snack in there for him. Boom plort. Dash boots. Shit. Wait, where's the mailbox? Why are you out of your cage? God damn you. You get back in your cage. You're just lovely, honestly. You're such a dear. While I deal with all these hoodlums. Isn't that right, Boomy? Shit. What to do? You know what? There might be, there might not be enough space, so go ahead and, well, you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, we'll just leave it as that. Yep, now eat your chicken. No worries. No worries at all. Think I might need a music box for you two. Fuck the high walls for the moment. I just want y'all to calm down. That was a lot less of an explosion than there previously was, so I'm fine with that. Just gonna sell these. What the fuck do you sell for? Yeah, my tabbies are like my lowest, honestly. I could trade them up for crystalline slime. Wouldn't be bad on the tabbies. I already got the food source for those. Yeah, fuck it. We're going crystalline. Fuck the tabby slime. We're going crystalline. Fucking ass, pain in the ass and a half to get to the fucking place. But when it is. But regardless of how much of a pain in the ass it is, we'll be fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You guys are fine with one each. I know I just took the fucking time and effort to go and actually collect those things, but fuck it. Ain't got time for that. Shit. Actually, yeah, I should have been grabbing carrot. Cause there's that veggie slime. Fuck off, you piece of shit! Yeah, come. I don't believe there's any over here. Any carrots. But can't hurt shit. Fuck off. That's a fruit. Yeah. Yeah, considering where we are, yeah. Oh shit, I didn't even see those. Treasure pod 7. I'm gonna go see if what I can find remaining of the Nope, none. God damn, you're a bunch of greedy fucking bitches. Alright. If we encounter any more carrots along the way, we'll take them, but we're not stopping anymore. God damn it. Nope. Fuck, you do have. Yeah, this is the only way. Yes. Crystalline slimes. Yeah. This guy right here. Damn, you fat. Yeah, like I said, if we see any more on our way. It's not that one, is it? Because I thought it was over here. Just these guys by themselves and their swords. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, we got a note. I once came here to collect crystals for a little project of mine, was trapped here for nearly 2 days, and those curious crystal slimes came rolling my way and started firing off those dangerous shards. I thought I was gonna kick the bucket. The crystals were for a wind chime. I bet Thora still has it hanging from her porch. Oh. Interesting. Thora, huh? Who's Miss Thora? No, don't care. What the fuck do you guys eat? I forgot to look at that. Veggie slimes. Gotcha. Just give me all of you. I want 10. Ah! Get out of here. I fucking died. Fuck. Damn it. No! Eat then, fuck. God damn it. Why are they like that? Alright, cool. So we got 10. Really? I'm giving y'all fucking meat. I'm giving y'all fucking a ration of meat. And you fucking doing me like that, huh? I see how it is, I got you. Damn it. Still haven't even checked the mail. Fuck the mail. Oh, y'all want fruit? There. Be gone. Like I said, you can just run through that bitch. The teleporters will make this a hell of a lot easier once I unlock those. I mean, they're a pain in the ass, but they're like hopeful a little bit. Okay. I got enough veggies for that Gordo. I should be able to pop that Gordo. What the fuck? Okay. Maybe one more. Yeah, no, you're not getting any. That's my Oka Aka Aka. Oka Aka. Yeah, the odd onion too. And then huh. And then huh. It's the lowest number that I got. Gotta have room for quartz and slime. Seven. Take that down to 5. Now we're just looking for quartz. Like that was wonderful. Technically, I believe what this is called considered free range. Go ahead and feed. That one's for you, fella. Oh, the tar slime. That's okay. Oh fuck. We bounce. Those spawns, they'll respawn. They're fine. We have now. I want to check this out. Oh, it's the other side basically. Oh. Okay, so it is just another entrance. Okay. Fuck. Fuck! God damn it, I didn't have an open fucking space. I was about to shoot some fucking odd onions at that motherfucker. Oh, hell yeah. Nothing I give a shit about. Fuck. It's another one of those that can stay up there too. Yes. Teleporter back home. What the fuck? No. No. Don't tell me. Please tell me I can get back. Thank God. I don't have that area unlocked yet. So, right one? Yeah. Yeah, fuck, I don't have that area unlocked, so otherwise I'd be stuck. Yeah, and like I said, I don't give a shit about the fucking ornaments too much. You can, that one can stay there until I fucking notice it and have a free slot. But we got our crystal slimes, the crystal plorts. That's money right there. That's 50. Like 50 bucks a coin. 50 bucks a plort. Let's come on, go on. Got this. The last corral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $17.95. I think. Yeah, I think the only other plots these. Just flinging shit everywhere. Honestly. I think I'm gonna put an air net on that one. For the majority in there, and then come out, grab some carrots or something. There's some over here. I haven't been over. What the fuck? Why the fuck? I don't know why I couldn't pick it up. Probably because the game wouldn't let me. But like, don't. I guess I was supposed to feed it something. God damn it! No fucking sprint. That's crazy. That's like the third time total I've seen a fucking gold slime in this game. And I only saw it once in my last playthrough. Holy shit, twice in a game? In one session, no less. Holy shit. Where the fuck are these goddamn... What do you eat? What do you eat? What do you eat? Fuck. Just me screaming, what do you eat? I really don't fucking remember what that one is, you know, supposed to do and shit. I have to come all the way fucking back here. God damn, there's no fucking vegetables. Goddamn Gordo. hopefully I can get a veggie of some cool kind over here. Where the fuck? God damn it. Oh, God. There it is. So since we can't find a single goddamn vegetable, we're just gonna find pink slimes, farm out to fucking... I'm fucking trying to feed you, asshole. Pop off. Dick. God damn. Slimes. Fucking things. So fucking rude. See? So rude. Anyway. We move in. Another fucking ornament to put out here. In the sea of them. There we go. I'm going to get the high walls and the port collector. Grab the high walls on you. There we go. Alrighty. Let's see if I can figure out the thing gets this guy. Yep, water tank. Now, I can actually use the water to fight off the tar slimes and shit. What are you? Oh! The overgrowth? The grotto, the docks, and the lab. Mystery, mystery, mystery. Yeah. Alrighty. Still looking for that mailbox. Thinking, Laura. It's the lady that he was talking about. Help me out here and I'll make sure you get what's owed. 2 rocks, 2 stony hens, and 11 pink slimes. 8 plorts, 250 gold, and 16 cubes. I'll take it. There's only 2 of you in here. You're good. Alright, 2 rock plorts. Hey, my boy. Can I get you to eat something real quick? No? Okay. And then 11 slimes. 11 pink slimes. one more pink slime. Alright. Now you might be wondering, why are you not going back? I want rock slimes too. I want some more. I only had one. That's 3. But yeah. Fuck! Alright, there we go. No! Fuck! I got you, gooeyes. Yeah, that's all the protection you're getting from me. I'll take you though. Got all the water. Now we just make our way back. Goddamn, fool! Ugh. Alrighty. The last torch. Gives you a decent amount. Give you a decent amount. Put a decent amount there. Good shit. That's a plort collector on all of them, which is amazing. Fortunate. Alrighty. 527. Still haven't been able to get a carrot or anything like that for the veggie farm. We're gonna go check now, but I doubt we'll find any. No, no, no. I would have liked you maybe if you hadn't done that already, but it's just a pain in the ass to move you. Damn it. Nah, I don't like you. You really telling me? Ow, fuck. Fuck all of you. Fuck off. Bastards. Fuck. Shit. No. Yeah, I think for the moment, yeah, I ain't got much else. I'm pretty sure those radishes right there, those heartbeats are, yep, veggies. Yeah, certain slimes mixing together have a chance of actually producing a tar slime. Like that one was a rock and radioactive Largo that transformed into that tar slime. That's rough. It would have been like an okay it would have been an okay slime to keep around for the plorts. For the plort value, but he turned. Got the angry bastards again. Get out of here. Go up there and get some more water. God damn. Y'all just fucking hungry. I really don't mind the free range farming. Alrighty. Let's get the fuck up out of this place. Nope. But can't take you, take you, both of you, you. I can, no. No, nothing, no. But alright. We out. We going. We gone. First formula. We gonna drop 140 gold in our pockets? Sure. Hitting 180 from those. And then we get to come up over here. Drop you in there. Compost from the moss blanket and minerals from the indigo quarter-made crops always yield the maximum. Sprinkler ensures that your crops are always watered, making them grow twice as fast. I was about to say, that made me wonder for a second. Huh. Oh boy. May need to look into some auto feeders. If I was to put one, I would put it over here. Hey, fool. Calm down. There. Oh shit. You guys are some hungry fucks. And you guys just aren't. Take the cues, pogos from you guys. Alright. Put that said and done. Anything here? No? X to activate. Ooh, shit. Oh, here's the mail. Whoopsies. Welcome to the Range Exchange. Hi there, Beatrix. The name's Thora West. I'll keep my introduction short on account that we all got work to do. I'm a longtime rancher here on the Far Range and head of the welcome wagon for your local Range Exchange. The Range Exchange is a network of ranchers just like yourself who are looking to trade what they got for what they need. Slimes, plorts, food, whatever. All you need to do is check the Range Exchange machine daily and be sure to get your trade completed within 24 hours. As more ranchers... Oh fuck. As more ranchers get added to your network, you should receive a hearty hello from them, so check your inbox. Well, enough John. We both got slimes to wrangle. Adios, Beatrix. Thora. Rise and shine from Casey. Hiya, B. What's it like to sleep for a whole year? Did you dream? I can't imagine what it's like. 7Z puts you in a pod and then lights out for all that time. Wow. What's the Far Range like? Have you started exploring? Is the air as clear as they say? I bet it's really beautiful. I'm probably asking too many questions. I bet you have a lot of work to do on that ranch. I still can't believe it's yours now. I guess I better leave you to it and just keep it short. Good luck, B. If anyone can make it out there, it's you. Casey. Welcome to the Far Range. The 7Z Corporation. Miss LeBeau, the 7Z Corporation would like to welcome you to the Far Range. Welcome, and extend our support in your bold new adventure as a slime rancher. Support extended. We would also like to request that you exercise caution in your first few days on the range until you get more familiar with your surroundings. Traveling at night is not advisable. Lastly, should you require any additional tools for your backpack or items to make your slime ranching experience easier, the 7Z Corporation would be pleased to provide them to you from the shop located just outside your ranch house. The 7Z Corporation, providing the tools you need to get the job done for us for a small fee. The 7Z Corporation. Wow. Is not that guy, but this guy down here is the one is the upgrade guy. Jetpack, dash boots, pulse wave, heart mod, power core, tank booster. Improved nano storage cell technology allows your vac tank to hold 30 units. Augments your backpack with an almost certainly safe micro fusion generator that boosts energy to 150. Health 150. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can worry about all of those little things later. Right now, I'm just going to collect the plorts from everybody, and then industry. Alrighty. Few more. Alrighty. Alrighty. With that, we can end the game, end our stream here. I will see all you wonderful people later on. A nice playing with y'all. See you later. Peace.